Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today we got a little bit of English and a little bit of Japanese news to talk about, so let's just talk about them. First up, starting with the English side of things, Bandai had hosted a sweepstakes a while back ago, and people are starting to get their winnings in the mail. And one of the winnings was these perforated demo sheets and promo packs. So obviously, not everyone who entered the sweepstakes was going to win, and people who are just finding out about the Digimon card game didn't even know that the sweepstakes was even a thing, and totally missed the ball on that, not even of their fault. So that means that there's just a lot of players who were unable to get these cards or unable to get these cards, and Bandai is trying to remedy that by having these launch kits where basically, a launch kit will contain 16 promo packs and 16 perforated demo sheets, so that way they could at least attempt to try to get these cards into players' hands for those who didn't win the sweepstakes. And the way that you get these demo sheets and promo packs is by talking to your local game store and have them contact their distributor to try to secure any of these launch kits. So it kind of creates that dialogue between you and the local game store to not only just help try to build awareness for the game, but to try to get you these promo packs. And these promo packs have some pretty interesting cards in them. So as far as the cards inside of the promo packs, first up we have a Agumon. This promo version of Agumon is pretty interesting because not only is the artwork pretty nice, and we've seen it quite a lot, but the fact that he is just a really different card versus a lot of other Agumons. So what this Agumon does is he has an initial play cost of 5, an evolution cost of 0, and a DP of 3000. And we really haven't seen anything quite like this stat line again. So that's what makes this card really, really interesting. And he has a nice on-play effect where you get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. So that's kind of why he has this really high play cost, is because of this really powerful ability. But it's definitely a very interesting card to play around with nonetheless. Next up, we have a promo Bioman. So this promo Bioman is stat-wise not really doing anything too different than anything we've seen before, but it does have a very nice inheritable ability where during your turn, when this Digimon deletes one of your opponent's Digimon by battle and it survives, then you get to draw one card. Red doesn't necessarily have a lot of forms of card draw, so definitely having a form of card draw is really good. Obviously, this is supposed to play along with Biomon's like evolution line, and that evolution line is more supporting the piercing type strategy, where it's attacking into the opponent's Digimon, and then it is also going to attack the opponent's security by destroying the opponent's Digimon. I just think this ability is a pretty interesting and a pretty good ability to have, and it's definitely a really interesting card. Next up, we have a promo Gabumon. So this promo Gabumon is another pretty interesting card considering it has a slightly higher play cost than a lot of other rookies. So we can kind of infer that it's going to have a decent on-play ability. And its on-play ability is pretty decent, where you get to trash at the bottom Digivolution card from one of your opponent's Digimon. Attacking the Digivolution cards is a strategy in the early forms of blue, and it still kind of matters a little bit in a lot of blue cards. Having a gray to on-play ability to just start attacking the evolution cards is really, really nice, and this also synergizes with a lot of cards that also separate its cards from the evolution source, because that is a more efficient and cheaper way to get these on-play effects. You could use this with the booster pack version of the blue metal Gomumon to separate it from its source, and then you get its on-play ability. Or you could do the same thing with Leopardmon and separate it from its source to get its on-play ability. So I definitely think that the promo Gabumon is a pretty interesting card to play around with overall. And then we have a promo Gomumon. So the promo Gomumon, again, stat-wise, not really doing anything interesting, but it does have a very nice inheritable ability where during your turn, once per turn, when you trash a Digivolution card off of one of your opponent's Digimon, you gain +1 memory. So if you're trying to play into this attacking the Digivolution cards on the opponent's field, then this is definitely a great Digimon to have because it'll reward you for doing that type of strategy by gaining a memory. And as we know, gaining memory is pretty important because it allows you to extend your plays and set up plays that make it harder for the opponent to play their turns more efficiently. And then we also have a Promo Patamon. So this Promo Patamon has another on-play ability, which is warranting a slightly higher play cost, and its on-play ability is pretty good, where if you have one or fewer security cards, then you get to recover one. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the condition in which you get to recover one, but recovering one is a really good ability to have because it just helps extend your life and allows you to stay in the game a little bit longer. But you needing to have one or few security cards to use this ability is kind of what makes this card a little on the not so great side. And then the last promo card that we have from this promo pack is a Promo Gatoman. So Promo Gatoman is pretty decent because it has a nice inheritable ability where during your turn, while you have 3 or more security cards, this Digimon gets a plus 1000 DP. So it's just a DP booster in the inheritable sources, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And it's relatively average in terms of your normal champion in terms of stats. So I think this card is definitely a pretty decent card and could definitely provide a big boost to those early yellow decks. So overall, the contents of the promo pack definitely seem really good for the early Special Booster 1.0 meta, because it just gives you some more options to play around with. So really, the winners of the sweepstakes just kind of feel like a big advertisement for this kind of an announcement, where it's like, okay, people are really excited about these promo cards. How can I get them? Oh, here's how you actually can get them. So I'm not necessarily the biggest fan because it creates more feels bads, but it's still a way to get cards into the player's hands and start dialogue with your LGS to build more excitement around the game. But please make sure if you want the promo cards to talk to your local game store so that way they can contact their distributor to try to get their launch kits when the game goes on pre-sale November 27th. So over on the Japanese side, we have a couple of new starter deck cards to talk about. So first up, we have Mega Blaster. So Mega Blaster is a new green option card. It costs 5 to play, and its main ability is you get to choose one of your opponent's Digimon, which is rested or suspended, and return it back to their hand, and then all of their evolution sources are discarded. And then its security effect is activating its main effect. So I definitely think this is a pretty good option card for green because green hasn't really had a whole lot of removal cards, let alone efficient removal cards. And obviously the lower the cost, the more efficient it's going to be, but probably the more restrictions it's going to have attached to it. So the restriction on the card is the Digimon has to be rested or suspended, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world because green has so many ways of resting the opponent's Digimon, and let alone its security effect is activating its main effect. So most of the time, if the opponent's Digimon attacked into your security, then it's going to be rested or suspended anyway. So I'm definitely really liking this card, and I think it's definitely going to be a pretty good card for green. Next up, we have Nailbone. So Nailbone is a purple option card that costs 7 to play, and its main ability is you get to choose one level 3 purple Digimon and one level 4 purple Digimon from your trash and play them without paying their play costs, and then obviously you don't get their when played effects if they had any. So just that first part of its ability is pretty good. Yeah, the card is a little on the expensive side, but it's probably something to support more of the Lilithmon kind of style deck, where it's like the expensive option cards become a lot cheaper to play, so that means they're just more efficient to play. And being able to res 2 Digimon is definitely a really powerful ability because it just creates a lot of pressure on the opponent. And then its security effect is you get to choose a level 4 or lower purple Digimon from your trash and play it for free, and then obviously you don't get its when played effect. So whether it's in your hand or in the security, you're going to be reviving something, and that's just a pretty decent ability to have. But I do think the cost of the card is going to keep this card back from seeing a lot of heavy play. And then lastly, we have Genocide Attack. So this is the black option card I was waiting for. It is a black option card that costs 5, with the main ability of choosing one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 7 or less and destroy it. And then its security effect is activating its main effect. So finally, black has a really good removal card. Yes, the condition is that it has to be on a... But this is what de-digivolve really needed in order to be good, is a reason to de-digivolve the opponent's Digimon. Because before, without removal cards like this, de-digivolve just makes them smaller and then they build their Digimon back up and then swing over your blockers anyway. So it's like, why did I even bother de-digivolving? But now with a card like Genocide Attack, this is the reason why you would de-digivolve. You de-digivolve so you put them in a specific range to be the target of removal effects. So I am definitely really liking this option card, and I think this option card for black will definitely see a lot of play going forward, because, you know, it's literally what black was missing in order for it to be really good. So that's kind of all of the news that we got today. Just some sweepstakes news and alternate ways of getting those promo cards, and some new cards from the new Japanese starter decks. So tell me your thoughts of any of these topics down in the comments below. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.